Hey, this is Matt with Let's Talk Music. I'm here with Justin and Anya of the God Bombs. They're joining us from Los Angeles today. Thanks for being on, guys.
Thank you for having us.
So, Black and Yellow. I was reading about the collaboration you did with the director Jason Kaplan, and it's kind of trying to tell a story, correct?
Yeah, I mean, this is actually the third or fourth video that we've done with Jason Kaplan. It's always a pleasure to work with him. And this video is just about kind of the corporate hive. Like we're talking about how we have a system in place where people are basically being bred throughout school, throughout their early life, being trained to work for other people in jobs that they dislike, and how it kind of like kills the creativity. It kills the sense of excitement about life sometimes when you're stuck in these 9 to 5s that you really dislike, and how we as musicians have had to work these jobs that we didn't want to just to pursue our creative goals.
Yeah, I get that. How about you, Anya? What's your take on it?
Well, it's kind of where what we value in our society. It's like, do you value time versus craft versus like the life you live? So I think that, in our society, we're supposed to live a life and make this much money, and we're kind of trying to say like, well, maybe you could live a life and enjoy what you do and actually enjoy doing your craft and, run away from like the expectation of like needing money and to make a certain payment.
Right. It's like everyone's just trying to make money to pay these bills. And with the inflation, it's like our whole existence, it's basically like a corporate slavery. It's just like you're just trying to make enough just to keep the roof over your head. And I think with everything that went down after the pandemic and the inflation and the price of everything and the gas, it's like kind of you see the cracks in the system where it's like, wow, we're really just all slaving away just to get by here. I mean, there's got to be more to life than that.
Oh yeah, yeah, I agree 100%. So like the God Bombs, how did that name come about?
It came actually, it was inspired by a series of books called The Dark Tower by Stephen King. It's kind of
Mhm.
like Stephen King's Lord of the Rings. It's 7 books long and it's like a fantasy epic. And the God Bombs is a cult in that series. But for me, the God Bombs means creation, destruction. God creates, bombs destroy. So it's kind of like a yin yang concept.
Oh, I gotcha. Yeah, that's pretty cool. So like, I've been seeing like since me and Allison connected with you, got this press release and whatever. It's been all over Facebook. You hanging out with Orgy, is that a band that you draw a lot of influence from?
Yeah, I mean, I think growing up, I was really influenced by the album Candy Ass. I love that album, and I like Vapor Transmissions as well, which was the sequel.
Hmm.
And I actually hung out with Jay Gordon. We did a radio show together. That's the singer of Orgy. We had
Right.
done a radio show together, and I bumped into him recently, and he was like, "Hey, we're playing the Whiskey. Why don't you guys jump on the show?" So we're opening for Orgy on March 24th at the Whiskey Go Go.
Oh yeah. And that's a phenomenal club to play. I mean, the history there is just insane. The bands that have played in there, the bands that started there. I mean,
Right.
Christ,
Doors.
right. Motley Crue got their start there. So yeah, I mean that's a big opportunity. Uh,
Yeah, it's always exciting to play these legendary venues in LA here, and the Whiskey's definitely one of first and foremost one of them.
have you guys played there before?
I have played at the Whiskey before a couple times, but I'm really excited about this show. I think we're definitely raising the bar with this new material and the new band. And Anya has some experience there too.
Yeah, I was actually working a show last night and Orianthi came by and, rocked out with Tracy Guns.
Oh my
Other
gosh.
musicians, other legendary musicians were there too. So, I mean, it's like a home, I like to go in from the back and I know like the secret painting, like, just I love the vibe. It's rock and roll.
Yeah, I think we've been blessed. Like for me,
Yeah.
coming from New York City, my home away from home, my home base there was the Pyramid Club, which is a
Mhm.
legendary club. Madonna performed there, Nirvana performed there, and also Webster Hall is kind of where I got my start. So we've been kind of very blessed that we've been able to incubate in these legendary venues just because we're working in major cities here.
Oh yeah. Well, so as a guitarist, I mean, that had to been pretty cool to, hang with Tracy.
Oh yeah, it's super cool. I mean, I'm the guitar tech there, so I get to help out and set up the show. But yeah, super. We also had Phil X a few weeks back.
Okay.
Uh, Phil X, he's like a very famous guitarist.
Right.
So,
Yeah, and see that's we're talking my era there when you get into LA Guns and like Cinderella and stuff. I grew up in the late 80s, early 90s. So yeah, I definitely I remember when Orgy first started, and another band that I really loved that I missed. I don't know if you guys you probably know them, Stabbing Westward.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there was a lot of a lot of hair metal is what they called it back in the day, but then there was a lot of new music that came out too, such as Stabbing Westward, Orgy, and I mean, it all kind of mixed in together, and it just it's great to see that you guys are, doing the goth thing again, because it kind of it faded out, you know what I mean? And a lot of bands are trying to they're bringing it back, and I feel like with music it's always kind of a full circle, it it starts, it ends, and then it comes back. It's
Right.
so what I mean, where do you guys draw most of your influence from? I mean, what is something that when you're not busy writing music and playing music or working at the Whiskey a Go Go, that you just sit down, throw some headphones on, and listen to? I mean, what is it you guys like to listen to?
Well, I think it's like you said, goth can never die because it's undead, right?
Right,
For me, I go to the roots of goth music, whether it's Bauhaus or Joy Division, or also the roots of industrial music, which I think is a genre that's very misunderstood. Uh,
mm-hmm,
Bobby and Gristle is the founders of industrial, and I really like that early industrial stuff where it was very experimental. It was very much influenced by like Pink Floyd, early Pink Floyd, where they would do albums like Uma Guma, and it would be all kind of like sound design and experimental stuff, and it wasn't even very musical. And I think that that's really like the roots of industrial. It was like more like performance art and like kind of confrontational. Nowadays, it's associated with dance music, but originally it was very taboo and very noise and experimental oriented. So I like that old types of stuff. And also, I listen to everything, even like trap music, metal music. Obviously, Black Sabbath is a huge influence, or more modern stuff. Obviously, Marilyn Manson and Nine Inch Nails are big influences. And Nirvana, of course, Smashing Pumpkins, some of those bands that were labeled grunge back in the
right.
90s. Yeah.
How about you, Anya?
um, I'm a huge fan of Trent Reznor and Nine Inch Nails. I think I know every record in and out. But Nirvana, the Smashing Pumpkins, Stone Temple Pilots, Alice in Chains. I really like the metal stuff too. I'm
Right.
a huge fan of like Black Sabbath and like Iron Maiden. So
Love
Motley
Satan.
Crue. But I think some of the favorites are like Alice in Chains for me. Oh, lately I've been into the Queens of the Stone Age.
Okay. Yeah,
Yeah.
they're actually getting ready to play here in May at Sonic Temple. It's a big festival, Danny Wimmer festival. So that's I think they're actually one of the headliners.
Oh,
So
nice.
yeah, and one when you was talking about industrial metal, I was kind of surprised you didn't mention Ministry.
Oh man, Ministry will always be a huge influence. We actually, the first God Bombs big tour was opening for Ministry, and
Oh,
that was a dream come true for me, because Ministry is absolutely one of my biggest musical influences, and it was like honestly surreal because I was just a teenager on the Ministry message board online. And I was posting all my early music there, and they used to like make fun of me. They're like, "You suck," blah blah blah. And then a few years later, we're opening for Ministry. So holy shit.
oh
Uh,
yeah.
yeah. So it was like full circle. And I love Al Jorgensen, and of course Skinny Puppy as well, which is another band that's kind of often linked to Ministry.
Yeah, Al seems like he would be an interesting person to hang out with.
Oh yeah, I lost my voice on the tour, and I saw Al, and I was like, Al, what do? I can't sing. And he was like, Wine and cigarettes, kid. Wine and cigarettes. I think that's gonna bring my voice back.
Yeah. That'd have been kind of like, being out there with Lemmy, he'd have been Jack Daniels and cigarettes.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But
Yeah.
actually, DJ Swamp, who was a member of Ministry on that tour that we were on,
Hmm.
he ex DJ back in the 90s. He ended up joining the God Bombs and touring with the God Bombs, and he's actually featured on the album Candyman. So we kind of got to collaborate with members of Ministry, which was pretty cool. I mean, it's always good to like be able to work with your idols.
Oh yeah. I mean, it's. I remember I talked to this guy the other day, a Scottish UK band, and he was talking about how when they was starting out and they were big, they were playing with Motley Crue on when they did the Shout the Devil tour, and they played with Ozzy on the Bark at the Moon, and I'm like, dude, you've played with some of the greatest musicians out there, and you're just acting like it's all nonchalant. And I guess when you're in the industry like you guys are, and you're rubbing elbows with them, it's kind of, I mean, you don't really get that starstruck feeling, or you might.
I think I did early on for sure. I mean, one of my first things was like working with Daisy Berkowitz, the original guitarist for Marilyn Manson. And he actually co-founded Marilyn Manson, the band, with Marilyn
Right.
Manson. So it was really surreal. But I learned quickly that these are just people like us. And ultimately, like the more down to earth you are with them, the more they respect you, because it's really about the craft of music. I mean, there's all this marketing stuff on the outside, which, some people get to be bigger stars than other people. But like on the inside of it, when you're in the scene, it's all about respect and just like, communication and art. It's about the artistry and the music.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say it's, about the truth. It's like kind of why we do it. You can't like fake it,
Right.
just kind of do it for the music.
And they want to, if they want to work with us or, whatever, it's because they're like, they see something in us. And, so
Right.
it's like it's kind of a mutual respect thing, which is, I just been really grateful to have kind of rubbed elbows with a lot of my heroes and idols in music so far. And I, only hope that will obviously continue moving forward.
Oh yeah. So, and I mean, I can tell you honestly, I feel grateful to just be talking with you guys. This is just a little pet project that I do. I'm a huge fan of music, love music. For the longest time, I was localized to what I listened to. What I mean, I didn't really branch out. And since I've been doing this, you can't be like that. And it's been a wonderful experience. I've experienced so many different bands and so many different types of music that it's just really opened up my eyes. And I feel like, what you're talking about is, the art and the music is really, it's what matters. It's I have an appreciation for, rather, I'm a huge fan of, hair metal or goth or, death metal or whatever. I have a huge appreciation for what you do. I mean, you guys are getting out there, you're putting yourselves out there, and you're obviously doing really good, because Black and Yellow's got a hell of a lot of views on YouTube. So I mean, it seems like you've got a pretty decent fan base, a following.
Yeah, it's climbing. I think it's probably the best performing single so far, actually, and I'm really proud of that. And I've been touring pretty consistently. I was touring really consistently prior to the pandemic for quite a few years there, and building a national fan base. And everyone seems to be coming back out of the woodwork and like embracing what we're doing now. So it feels really good to have stuck with the God Bombs and have like a great new lineup here in LA, and feel like there's an audience for it, and the audience just keeps growing. People are hitting me up constantly now about Black and Yellow and saying, "Oh my God, you worked with Daisy Berkowitz. I just discovered your band. This is like really cool, and it's like a throwback, but at the same time, it's something new. And we want to, there's people that have been inviting us to do like little tours and stuff here on the West Coast. So, we'll see what materializes out of it, but it seems like we're definitely getting out there with this new sound now."
And this one features lead guitar Chris Lorraine.
That's right. Yeah.
And what band is Chris from?
Chris Lorraine is a solo artist who I met here in Hollywood. We were both involved in the What the Fuck TV, WTF TV, which
Mhm.
is something that was created by Green Jello, Bill Manspeaker, and it's kind of a crazy punk rock circus thing. And we actually toured with WTF TV, and we toured our way to Gathering of the Juggalos this past summer. And so we had all kinds of madness, as you would expect. But me and Chris became friends, and also he was friends with our bassist, West Rosen. So West was the one that encouraged me, hey, why don't we kind of write some stuff with Chris for this new album? And I just thought, all right, cool. So me, West, and Chris got together on a full moon a couple months ago now. And that's when we wrote Black and Yellow. We wrote like the original demo for it. And then later on, Ania came and added rhythm guitar. And there's a producer named Kiyoki who added some additional electronics and production. But yeah, the original demo really came out like in one night. And Chris was a huge part of it with the crazy lead guitars that you hear in the choruses there.
Right.
Yeah.
So where'd you guys do the video at?
The video was shot in two different locations. One of them was an office space that we rented, and a bunch of friends of ours came and showed up like dressed up as office extras with the like. I was kind of inspired by the movie Office Space. I don't know if you know.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I was like, I want you guys to look kind of nerdy and like, like the white button downs and everything. And then the other half of it was shot in this warehouse, which was really cool. And they had different rooms that were like kind of decorated differently. So one of them was the money room, and that's where you see our drummer kind of throwing the money. And Anya was in the ice cave.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So I mean, when you guys do a video, is it is it fun or is it like work, you know?
So much fun. It was a blast. I
Yeah.
think we got so much great footage, and I mean, we're all friends and we just have fun making art. So
Yeah, it's fun when it's a lot of work preparing. And then, when you're there, it's just a blast. Like I spent a long time really working on the concept with Jason Kaplan and Chris Lorraine and West, and developing the ideas. And a lot when I actually designed the Beehive guitars that you see Chris playing in the video.
Right.
That was my first time doing props for any kind of video or anything. So I spent a lot of time on that. My girlfriend Autumn spent a lot of time like perfecting the makeup prosthetic stuff, where that guy, you see him like pull the sleeve up and he has the bee
Mm-hmm.
honeycombs. So that was all like, a lot of work. But then when you get there for the shoot, it's just a blast because you've done all the preparation. And there were like all these cop cars outside the office, and we were like standing on top of the cop cars and taking photos and like, it was a lot of fun. And especially because a lot of the extras that were there for the office scene were friends of ours. So we got to really like, kind of just have a good time on set.
Yeah, see, that sounds cool because I mean, you look at back in the days of MTV, and my God, you had some of the videos that were pretty simple, just showing them in concert or whatever, and then you had like ones like Thriller or these just highly expensive, crazy made videos, and it seemed like, man, that would just be, it took us 3 months to shoot this video, and now you talk to bands that like, well, we're DIY, so we don't have hundreds of $1,000s to put into a video, and we do it with some friends and some cameras and stuff, and everybody usually does, they enjoy it and have a good time. And I mean, I think that's another way of getting your artistic creative self out there with videos like Black and Yellow.
Yeah, I've done a lot of music videos, and there's good and bad with everything. So I think one of the great things about the new era is that we have the technology now where it's easier than ever to shoot a video. We all have phones that are actually pretty amazing when it comes to like the camera on an iPhone.
Oh
It's
yeah.
very quality. So, the technology like that just never existed before to the extent that it does now. So the artists can take everything into their own hands and do kind of the DIY thing. And then on the flip side of that is you kind of have to be your own record label and be your own, like I said, I'm doing props, I'm doing, you know, I'm helping with set design and all these, you know, back in the day, a label might have done all that stuff for the artist, and the artist would just show up and party and be in the video and not have to worry about any of that stuff. But it's cool to be kind of hands-on, and, you know, you get to like learn all these different things with each video.
Well, and I mean, I think that's what's really cool with the DIY is that, you know, you're part of everything. You know, you're not depending on somebody to come up with a video idea or a creation. It's something that, you know, is in your guys' head, and you're thinking, this is what I see, this is how I want it. And, you know, you get to do that versus, you know, having a director or a filmographer, let me spit it out there. You know, somebody trying to tell you what to do. I mean, and if something is not to your liking, you say, well, I don't like it this way, I want to do it this way. And, you know, I think that's what is great about today's age with, you know, a lot of the unsigned, the DIY bands.
Right. Yeah, I think back in the day, a lot of times like bands were forced to do things they didn't want to do, or the label would say, you know, you got to lose 20 pounds, or you got to wear this ridiculous outfit, or you got to, you know, do this song that you don't want to do. And there was a lot of people in charge of music that weren't actually musicians.
Right.
So that's always the dark side of labels, right? It's like, you know, you have people that think they know best, and then the artist is getting frustrated and fighting with their record company and blah, blah, blah. So now we get to have, you know, our own creative control and everything. And this one came together so organically with just we just had meetings, myself and Chris Lorraine and Jason Kaplan and West, the bassist. We kind of just had meetings and discussed everything we wanted. And Jason Kaplan is a great friend of mine. And we, like I said, we've done about 4 videos together now. So I feel like it gets better and better as a team, each one we do. And the synergy is there, and the mutual respect is there. And, you know, when you're actually friends with the director and you're friends with the guy that's shooting it, and you've all agreed, like, this is what we should do, you know, it's so much more fun than like if the label's like, you know, oh, this is what your video is going to be, and we don't want to, you better just show up on time. And, you know, so it's really cool. It's like a family kind of vibe. And we're actually, you know, working on conceptualizing our next video now with Jason. So we just hope to continue on with this, you know, just keep getting better and better.
You know, something that I see though is you both are smiling a lot. You seem happy, and I feel like that's what matters most. Is, you know, you may not be, we're not doing this interview and you guys are in, you know, a $5 million mansion, and, you know, got a Rolls Royce sitting outside, you know, but you're happy with what you're doing. You're happy with getting your creativity out there. And I feel like that is like one of the most rewarding things in life, is that, you know, you're doing something you love and you're truly happy.
Yeah, you can't put the price tag on happiness. And that's kind of what we're talking about with Black and Yellow. You know, I worked as a video editor for major television shows. I did Jersey Shore. I did Martha Snoop Dogg. I did a lot of really big things. And, you know, that was cool, but it was a lot of just work. And it was a lot of like being cramped in an office space, and kind of all I would dream about while I was doing that was doing this, you know? So, and having been on tour and meeting fans and performing for people and seeing them sing along with me, that stuff's the priceless. Like those are the moments I live for. It's the music that I live for. It's not the big, you know, the stuff that maybe pays more right now, like the big paychecks,
The fame and fortune,
corporate gigs. Yeah, it's really about just communicating a feeling, and just, you know, feeling alive because you're doing something out there in the world. And that's kind of what we're saying with the song. It's like, not everything has to be about a price tag. I mean, especially with inflation, like the price of an egg is now $6. So you get to see how money itself is kind of an abstract thing. And, you know, the value of money keeps changing, and it's not even real. But what is So what is real is, you know, having a great conversation, connecting with somebody, singing a song, and the fan is screaming it back at you, and they're crying or whatever, and you know, you're feeling that emotion. That's real.
dude, and I envy you for that. I have um dreamt of that probably most of my life, of like what it would be like to be on stage, playing a guitar or, singing, and having the entire crowd sing back to you your song. I remember going and seeing Lincoln Park on the Project Revolution tour, and the crowd was singing so loud, it was actually louder than the band. And I'm like, that has got to be, I mean, I get goosebumps thinking about it. That has got to be one of the best feelings in the world.
Yeah, I mean, they wrote some incredible, iconic songs, and those sing along choruses, and you know, and then the flip side of that is you see how even with all that, someone can still go into the darkness and self-destruct. And you know, for me, I'm just grateful that I'm sober. You know, I don't do drugs and alcohol, and you know, all that partying stuff is behind me, and I'm just really here for the love of music. I'm not here to party, and I'm not here for like the camera paparazzi shit. It's not about validation in a fake, it's not about the fake validation. It's about like the real connection.
Right. Well, and I mean, I feel like music is the one place you can find that more than anywhere. Um,
And then
I've said a million times that music is a community. It's a brotherhood. It's a sisterhood. You know, it's a universal language. I mean, like I said, I'm doing interviews with bands from Italy and Finland and stuff, and they're just so excited to talk with me. And as you can tell, I'm not a professional journalist. I don't have any journalism background. I did, never been in media or radio. This was actually just an idea of my wife's, that she said, "Hey, you always talk about music. I'm not into it like you are. Start a blog." Well, I started a blog, then I thought, I want to interview bands. And I've been, doing it. I mean, I'm almost to 150 in like the last year.
good for you.
So,
Oh, nice.
and it's been great. I mean, it's freaking, I love talking to musicians, and I love what you guys do. And that's, the point that I try to get across. People are like, "Oh, well, we appreciate what you do, and this and that." And I'm like, dude, I appreciate you saying that, but you truly don't understand what it means to me to be able to talk to you guys. And it's not really, I don't want to say starstruck, but I'm in awe of you. I'm like, because you possess a talent that I've always wanted to possess. And my talent has been, my brain did not absorb, arithmetic or school or whatever. It wasn't as important to me as what music was. I always, like back in the day, I could tell you who, was in the band, if they had kids, what their wife's names were. It was just the useless stuff that I would absorb. But
Mhm.
it's what has always drawn me to it. And it's more of just an absolute love for the art. And Justin, the way that you talk about it, I feel like, you feel the same way.
Yeah, absolutely.
You're in it for the art.
Yeah, and ultimately, I mean, we want to be business. We want to bring business into it because we want to make this our living. We want to make our livelihood from this. But it's the art that drew us there in the first place. And like you said, you said useless information, but useless according to who, right?
Right.
According to society or capitalism or whatever, maybe it might seem to be useless, but I don't think it's useless. I think it's, the fact that it brings you so much joy. It's actually very useful information, I would think.
Yeah, I mean, as you can tell, like I've had a damn smile almost the entire time. Like I said, it's just it's this is I don't make any money from this. I'm spending money just, as well as you guys. Of course, you're making money when you play shows and stuff, but I'm making some merch and stuff that I want to sell, but it's um it's more just for the enjoyment. Um it's So, you said that the partying and stuff is all behind you, and that was one of the other reasons that my wife wanted me to, find an outlet, because like I get bored and I just sit around the house and drink, and I've never really said that to anybody, so you're the first. But I mean, I would just sit around drinking stuff, and it was like, what do I do with myself? And I would, once I got a good buzz going, I'd throw some records on, or play music off my phone, whatever. She's like, "Oh my God, you're driving me crazy." So it's this is a good outlet for me, and it's just like your music is a good outlet for you. I mean, it a lot of times I hear artists talk about it being, you know, a way to deal with mental issues, or, an outlet of letting out feelings that they never could before.
Yeah, you were saying something about how like a lot of times we have this toxic positivity nowadays where it's almost like we can't express the negative emotions, and
Hmm.
then music becomes like a safe space for that kind of.
Yeah, I just think now with Instagram, we're always taking photos and romanticizing like what our lives should be, and hey, look, I'm always so happy. Look at me living this picture of fakeness. And it's, yeah, music has been, I think, the only like safe space where you can actually be yourself and really communicate like, oh, I'm feeling this way. And it's like not, and you don't get judged for it. And I think that's why so many musicians make such angsty music. But
Right.
but it's a way of dealing with the emotions in healthier ways. I mean, another good way is to go out on a run or something. But
Yeah.
sometimes it's hard to do that. I mean, when it's raining, like it
Right.
is in LA, you can't really do that. So,
Well,
Yeah,
it's therapeutic, if you will.
yeah,
it's very therapeutic, and therapy costs money, and you can go to somebody who's paid to listen to you, and then they're gonna like write some little notes in a notebook. Or if you're some kid out in the middle of nowhere or whatever, and you don't have the resources, and maybe your parents are abusive or alcoholic, or you're having problems at school, or someone's bullying you, or people don't understand you and they're like, why do you look the way that you look, or you don't fit in, and whatever it is, there's so many people out there, and then they get to put on those headphones, and it's just like they get blasted into another universe where none of that matters.
Amen. I know exactly what you're talking about.
I mean,
Right.
I was gonna add another thing, when I was younger, I think with music and just like feelings of, not belonging, maybe when you're, growing up and stuff, was kind of like, oh, you put on this record and then you're like, oh, wow, these people kind of feel how I feel. Like maybe I'm not alone. So it's just like the idea of like communicating feelings. And, me, English is my second language. So, sometimes I didn't understand lyrics in the music I used to listen to, but it was the emotion that made me like connect to these musicians. And it's not till later I like read the lyrics and I was like, oh wow, this song is about this. So just definitely music and emotions and the different communication without words. There's some truth to that. So
Love it.
yeah.
All right, guys. Well, we're just about out of time. Again appreciate what you're doing. Appreciate your music, and I appreciate you being on. It was great talking to you. Just one other question. We got the Whiskey a Go Go coming up with Orgy. How about after that? Are you doing any more shows around, or are you gonna try to broad out?
We're the currently our main focus is the show opening for Orgy and our new album Godhead, which we're working on behind the scenes. Actually, right after we're done with this interview, we're going to be working on a song called UFOs, which is possibly going to be the next single and the next music video that we release. So we're really just focusing on releasing stuff online and playing this upcoming gig with Orgy, and then just kind of seeing where that takes us. I did get some offers for some local like West Coast mini tours and stuff. Some bands that were interested based on the Black and Yellow video. They've contacted me and they're like, we love you guys. We want to bring you guys on tour. So I need to like have those conversations and see what's going to happen from that. But yeah, that's right now our focus is the record, Godhead, and the upcoming show.
All right. Well, awesome. Again, thank you so much, and best of luck with future endeavors. I mean, it sounds like you guys are definitely heading in a good direction. And again, you seem very happy, and that's one of the main things right there. It is the main thing, being happy with what you're doing.
Right.
So, all right. Well, I appreciate you. And, maybe 6, 7 months down the road, we'll hit you up and see where you guys are at.
That sounds great.
Yeah, thank you for listening and for your time.
And thank you for yours. All right. Later.